I, 30F, feel like there is something missing in the relationship but don't want to hurt my BF, 35 meters. I've been with my BF, 35 meters, for a little over 9 months and just moved in with him 3 months ago. We met online and fell in love quickly, like I felt like he was my person right away. We started hanging out about a week after we met online and have basically been together most days since. He has a child who I've grown close with, along with my BF's family. It breaks my heart to think I'm unhappy in this situation. One of my issues is that for the entire relationship I've felt a bit unsatisfied sexually. I guess I'm used to someone who takes charge and likes different positions. I tell him what I like and he does it once and then reverts back to the same position every time. Not only that, but we have sex 1 to 2 per month. And I guess I've realized I have a higher libido than him. I'm being patient and thinking maybe we are still just figuring each other out. But then, other things feel off too. The affection almost feels forced sometimes. Like he's trying hard to be affectionate but it's not coming off naturally. It's hard to explain. And I love him, so I'm doing my best to be patient and understanding, but often feel like he's not being honest with him about his feelings / wants / needs, etc. Long story short, I feel like something is off with us and like something is missing. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is and it's been really hard. I got out of a 4 years marriage 2.5 years ago, had a short-term BF in between, and now with my current BF. I'm starting to think maybe I wasn't ready for a serious relationship and now I'm not sure what to do. I love him, he's really good to me, and so kind and caring. I tell him these feelings and he doesn't seem fazed by it. He says we are maybe just having an off day and then never thinks about it again. But I do think about it and I'm missing something. I can't seem to shake it. Any advice? TL, doctor, can't decide what I want. My BF is wonderful but I'm still feeling like something is missing. Have you sat down and discussed explicitly what you guys like in the bedroom? Or tried figuring out love languages? They can be helpful tools but not cure-alls. If needs aren't being met, communication needs to happen, even if it hurts. If it is communicated that the needs still cannot be met, then it might be best to part ways. Yes, we have sat down and discussed our needs. He doesn't have many needs when it comes to sex, but I do. And he said he just doesn't think about it like I do. Therefore, I get the sense it won't change. And honestly, I don't believe sex is everything. But if there's also a lack of communication in other areas and no sex, I feel like a roommate. His needs are being met just fine, but mine aren't. So to him, things are probably great. So I just need to be clear about my feelings and ask that he also be clear with me so we have a plan moving forward. If something is missing, something is missing. You can't not hurt your boyfriend if the relationship just isn't working out. Since he has a kid, it's probably best that you let him know sooner rather than later, since the kid will continue to get attached to you. Side note: this is why you don't move in after 6 months of dating, especially when they have a kid. I think if you don't see yourself being with him long term, you need to tell him now. Not just for his sake but for the kid. It'd be kinda messed up to continue getting closer to the kid if you know it won't work out. Trust your gut. If it feels wrong now, it'll only feel worse later. It looks like you two rushed the relationship, and are simply incompatible. He doesn't seem like an awful person, although a bit passive-aggressive, and you seem fine too. You two just don't mesh together well. It's not even clear that you weren't ready for a long-term relationship. This just looks like a standard case of two people had some compatibility, but not enough, and so after several months, they realized they were wrong for each other. My boyfriend of almost 4 years, 29, is getting pressure from his coworkers and our mutual friends about popping the question to me, 36F. It's causing him a lot of anxiety and I had no idea. I began dating my wonderful boyfriend in 2017. We met at work. I've since gotten another job, but I'm friends with our old coworkers. Last night, I was scrolling through Facebook and noticed an old friend of mine had gotten engaged. I commented congratulations to her online and told my boyfriend how pretty the pictures of her and her new fiancé turned out, because it was in an old gazebo in a town I used to live in. He said the pictures were both a day. I fucked up and asked how long my friend and her fiancé had been together. Oh, a long time. I told him, I think 6 years. My boyfriend paused and asked if 6 years was considered a long time without a ring, or if that wasn't that long. I said I considered 6 years to be a long time without at least discussing getting engaged, but every couple is different. We have discussed getting engaged, but there's no strict timeline on it, and it's sprinkled in causally between making dinner or doing laundry, not a real sit down. He admitted a lot of our old coworkers have been pressuring him to pop the question, and he gets it from the same group every week or so. One even went as far to say that I wasn't getting any younger and that I'd leave him soon if he didn't ask. I haven't seen these coworkers in a long time, much less give them any indication I was leaving my boyfriend. He told me when they do this or when he sees engagement photo sessions on Facebook, it makes him feel like shit, and that the main reason he hasn't popped the question is that he's scared he's not financially ready to get married. He said, what if something bad happens and we become homeless? He added that we can't afford a house right now, only this small apartment, and I want to be able to provide for you and take care of you before we get married. Reddit, he works 2 jobs. I work 2 jobs. We split the bills equally. So far we're doing fine financially, and both of us have almost $10,000 in savings in our accounts. We're doing okay. But he's concerned about something bad happening down the line, where we suddenly become financially insecure. Told him there's always the possibility of some ups and downs or something happening, but that we would get through things together as a couple and that right now, we're okay. I also want to add that I've been through a lot in 2020. Pandemic fears, of course, my dad getting COVID and being hospitalized, my aunt dying suddenly at 55, who I was very close to, and my twin brother being incarcerated, when before he didn't even have a parking ticket. That was the biggest shock to all of us. Through it all, my boyfriend has been my rock. He's held me while I cried and supported me through a terrible year. I want him to know we're okay and that marriage is a big step we don't have to do right now. But I also want to discuss the future with him without him getting anxious and feeling that he needs to have all his ducks in a row right now. How do we sit down and talk about this? And how can we get his coworkers to back off? TL, doctor, friends and co-workers are bugging my boyfriend to pop the question, and now he's an anxious mess. He needs to say something to them. That's the bottom line. There is no timetable to this. Marriage is simply committing to spend the rest of your lives together. You can always get engaged and wait until you're ready for a wedding. If you're okay with not getting engaged right now, tell him that. You can't control his co-workers, but he's feeling anxious because he's under the impression that there's an expectation that he do this. If you don't actually have that expectation, say so. That will ease his anxiety regardless of what his co-workers say. Of course, if you do have that expectation, you need to be honest about that too. As for getting his co-workers to back off, that's kind of on him to set his own boundary. He's an adult and fully capable of telling people to mind their own business when they cross lines. This isn't about his co-workers. It's about what you want, and it sounds like you would like to get married. Plenty of poor people get married, and no one is having big weddings right now, so it seems like he's just making excuses or doesn't want to get married. You need to have an open conversation about your goals where you directly address what you want and need in the relationship and then talk through the challenges together. He's telling you this story about his co-workers because it might be true, but it's also his way of circumventing you from bringing up the discussion yourself. Oh no, he has anxiety around marriage talks. I don't want to be the pushy girlfriend trying to make him commit. If he's lucky, then you might drop the subject for another 6 months to a year while he finds more excuses. But at 4 years, you get and deserve a conversation about marriage and your long-term relationship goals. It might be uncomfortable for him, but it needs to be done. He's 36 and he knows how this works. I was with someone for 3.5 years and avoided these talks because my partner didn't want to have them, and I thought I would mess up the relationship by forcing him to have the talk. I wish I had brought it up earlier because I wasted several years with someone who had no intention of marrying me. My 48F husband, 43 meters, saved the contact info for a local prostitute on a hidden folder in his computer. I found it. Last year he paid for a Tinder account. He did this in anger. How do we build trust? Our marriage has been rocky for years. Since the beginning, I carry the burden of the bulk of finances, child rearing, and household chores and management on my shoulders, easily 75%, if not more. He won't even admit these facts despite all the evidence. He has a different standard of living than I do, and it's been a slow process to get him to accept that laundry, grocery shopping, chores, upkeeping the structure of the condo that is literally falling apart, and saving money to pay off his $20,000 of credit card debt. He insists on buying Starbucks at least one time a day every day, and presents for himself monthly, like drones, knives, bikes, speakers, TV, etc. So we can qualify for a mortgage and move our family of 6 out of my 2-bedroom condo where my 2 older kids now share the basement as their room, is for the good of the family, not for me. We don't have many great qualities in the marriage. I thought we loved each other, but that seems pretty one-way these days, too. He avoids in-person communication, and I have cut off the texting. Whenever there is something to discuss, he talks over me, then the yelling starts, and then an ugly war follows. We hurt each other with terrible words. He clings to those pains as if Ifnu is the only one being hurt. Then he shuts me out more. For the first year we had good sex, and that was our bright spot, but he constantly accused me of being interested in other men. It was emotionally abusive. I work full-time, pay the bulk of the expenses, and already had 2 kids when we met, who live with me. I have zero interest in anyone else, and no time to even ponder such betrayals. I gave him everything he asked for, including having 2 more children in my 40s so he could fulfill that longing. I left my life to make one with him. My plate was already full, had 2 babies. I completely isolated myself to help him see that I only had eyes for him. I have treated him like a king when I am not backed into a corner. I have been an open book. He has always kept me locked out of his life, phone, car, finances, etc., and kept secrets. His unfounded mistrust seems like major projection of someone with a guilty conscience. I don't even think I really know him, but I do believe he is a true narcissist. The cycle of abuse got the best of me and soon enough I became a reactive abuser. I let it all roll off my back for the first couple of years, but by the time our second child came around I couldn't take the imbalance anymore. I started fighting back, demanding that he help more. It's not a great scenario, but for the love of God, I love the man, and raising 4 kids in my late 40s alone as a foot-working mom, well, it's scary. Truth, since I birthed our 2 kids, that makes 4 for me, in my mid-40s. My body has changed. I put on 10 pounds, haven't had the time to exercise like I used to. And, well, I am aging. I'm not ugly, but I'm not 20 or 30 anymore either. He has called my wrinkles severe, told me I'm fat, ugly. We both go to an ugly place, but he always takes it to a place of my looks and my body. Doesn't help that he has a porn collection of 18 to 30-year-olds that I could never match up to in my 40s. It's been hard to bounce back to my fit self while I try to raise my kids alone too often, keep the household afloat, and get frequent reminders in the form of sexual rejection, and being blatantly called butt-full-timesing ugly. Forget all those issues. He shows so little interest in me as a person. I'm actually a therapist, if you can believe that. I'm really good at it, and well loved by my colleagues and friends. My income supports all these kids, everyone's health insurance and medical bills, all the other bills, and most of the food that he helps eat. He tells me what a joke my job is, even though my salary almost all goes to the family and the mortgage of the condo I own. Once in a while I splurge and go to a consignment store and buy a shirt or something. I bought running sneakers for the first time in 6 years this year. I am frugal, because I want to get my family into a house. He doesn't seem to appreciate that, or anything about me, and he gaslights so often. In the past 2 years, instead of paying off his debt, or offering to contribute, he's bought himself at least 5 knives that cost over 100 each, a mountain bike and all the gear, expensive speakers, subwoofers, tons of takeout, and Starbucks, a big TV, furniture, a grinder tool to make knives, a 500 espresso machine and 300 coffee grinder he doesn't even use. BC Starbucks is easier, a crossbow, lamps, 2 drones, but he finally quit his $10 a day smoking habit. And yeah, I benefit from some of that, but I was not consulted. While all of my paycheck goes to my family, my husband feels free to buy gift after gift for himself. My condo is in shambles. Holes in walls, molding just sitting on the floor, broken windows, filth on the cabinets, dirty fridge, clutter everywhere, etc. It's embarrassing. He didn't grow up like this, yet he's happy to let his kids' home be this way. It's easier than fixing it up. He doesn't like to work, especially chores. If I want it done, I will have to do it. But with the laundry, my job, the daily chores, the grind of life, I can't find the time to do it all. The kids help, but training kids is work, too. Our life is boring with 2 little kids and a pandemic keeping us stuck at home. He wants to watch TV every night, play video games, one of the only things we enjoy together, and his face is constantly in his phone. It goes everywhere with him. He doesn't like to just talk, or play cards, or go for walks. He doesn't drink, so we can't even relax with a nice glass of wine. I gratuitously gave up alcohol when he quit smoking cigarettes. He still has his Suboxone, Adderall, and Xanax to get him through each day. Engaging with me, or playing with his kids for more than 20 minutes bores him. He is not by any means a loving/doting man. Our sex life was just about all we had left, and now, when he's willing to give me sex, he can't keep an erection most times. When he can, it's always done from behind and he rushes to the end. I asked him to consider Viagra, and he pointed out that Viagra doesn't work if you're not aroused. Awesome confirmation of my insecurities. Granted, our chaos is no doubt a turn-off, but really I don't see him putting in much effort to rekindle anything for me. I think he feels stuck because I enable him to drink Starbucks daily, I do his, and everyone's laundry, I pay the bills, I provide a nice tidy home. Why would he leave? He'll settle for me and take care of his own sexual needs elsewhere. Saddest part is I would have done anything for him sexually, including allowing him to explore his closeted bisexuality. But he hides it all away, closes himself in a cocoon of secrecy and lies, and then believes he's the victim when I can no longer take it and lose my freaking mind. So long story longer, he has no actual friends that I've met, like most normal people. Not one, but I suspect he has a text/phone friend and he talks to him/her behind my back for years. I recently heard him in the bathroom one night saying how I've been so awful for the past 5 years. When I questioned him, he told me he was pretending to talk to someone to make me mad. I think he has someone else. Not a sexual relationship, but an intimate one. This might be fine if I knew about it and if he worked on any form of intimacy with me. But just like his finances, phone, heart, and time, I am locked out. This secret friend, well, with all our other problems, it concerns me. He denies. But he takes that damn phone everywhere, and spends half his waking hours in the car or in the bathroom. 0 calls to anyone are made in my presence. He just left again for the 3rd time today to go to the pharmacy. It's 11 am. Why not go on either of your other 2 trips to Starbucks? I am suspicious! Exclamation mark. Last year I found out he subscribed to Tinder for a few months. It broke me. He assured me it was only to feel better about himself. BC we were fighting to see what was out there for fear of being alone. He sees no problem with that. Then the other day I found a screenshot of the contact info for a local nearby prostitute saved in a private folder on his computer. Again, done during a fight. He compared it to me crushing a bag of his potato chips in anger. Things we do in anger. He'd never cheat, he assures me. He swears he would never cheat on me. I don't trust him. I don't know how to with all his secrecy and password protections. I love him. I don't want to leave him, but I don't know how to build trust. And he seems unable to be accountable to how bad his behavior is. To make it worse, this man who has barely provided anything to me and my kids, has the nerve to tell me it's my fault because of the contempt I've shown him. This history rewriting and lack of appreciation for all I have sacrificed for him is likely the nail in the coffin of not only our marriage, but also any decent relationship we should try to have that would be best for our kids. What do I do? Please consider that I still want it to work. Accept that it may be over. That battle scares me. Divorce, but no matter what happens, I will be okay. He has proven one very important thing to me. I don't need him. Think he stays because he needs me. Not for love, but in order to have the things he wants. Clearly he is more than open to fulfilling his sexual desires without me and or elsewhere. Is it inevitable that if he hasn't already, he will cheat? I think I know the answer. TLDR, husband opened up Tinder account and saved local prostitute's information when we were fighting. Basically blamed me, like he always does. I am the majority provider for this family. I don't think he really loves me. He hides just about everything from me. He has lied right to my face many times. Is it even possible to build trust? How, specifically? Or do I need to let go? We have been in therapy for almost 2 years. Therapist points out that I should stop being surprised at being let down by someone who has consistently demonstrated an inability to take care of my needs, and either accept that, or let go. Some progress has been made that has kept me hopeful. I thought he learned when the Tinder incident happened. Yet a year later, he saves the prostitute's contact info. I am the dummy here.